Welcome, Japan.
Hello again, and welcome to another edition of Why Come Japan. I'm your host, Mr. Radrey, and today I am joined by comedian, former YouTuber, I guess maybe still YouTuber, I don't know, the long-lost TokyoCooney.
Hello. Greetings to the world of the internet.
Yeah, so this has been your reintroduction back to, I don't know, your introduction back to the internet. Can I say that?
Absolutely not. Like, I've released probably around 100 videos since I left Japan. And I work for the last 3 years. I was the webmaster of a college, and now webmaster, and I do a travel show for a local PBS station in upstate New York. So I've been using like the internet and YouTube and all of that world constantly, but just not under the TokyoCooney moniker. And so I still get people being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're still alive. I thought you're dead." Like, you just fucking Google, dude. Like, it's not hard. Like, I've been posting like, whenever I release a new video or something like that, I post it on fucking Twitter. It's not hard to find, but people are always like, "Oh my God." It's like, no, you just didn't really look that hard.
So wait, you're saying you still post stuff on the internet all the time, but you're just not using the TokyoCooney name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've been posting like travel videos I've done for PBS, other stuff. Like, there's a playlist on my TokyoCooney page that's just things I've shot since, so there's tons of stuff in there. But like on my website I kind of let the website expire. I should probably restart that at some point. But I had all the videos and stuff and blogs I was posting, so I was still very, very active doing stuff. But just it wasn't on YouTube, so it didn't easily slide into people's inboxes, so they didn't know that it was happening. You'd actually have to take a little bit of effort to, I don't know, Google my name or to find the stuff I've been doing. But it's been out there.
Huh. Okay.
But it's also not been Tokyo related. It's also not been, on my YouTube channel. So, but no, I've been using YouTube every day for the last, 3-4 years since I stopped that channel. I didn't really stop it. I just did dormant.
Right. Well, Jesus, how long has it been? Like, since you were lost in Japan?
So I think it's coming up on 3 years now.
3 years. Okay.
Time flies.
Feels longer than that.
For
some reason. Maybe 4?
It's like 3.5, I think.
Okay.
Sure 3.5.
So I can reveal your location, right?
Yeah, I'm not in witness relocation or anything.
Okay.
I mean,
you're in
New York.
You're in upstate New York, like near Syracuse or something, right?
And like, it's the same thing. It's like, that's like on like I'm pretty sure that's like on my Twitter bio or whatever. Like,
Wait.
I haven't gotten anywhere. With different place, hidden information.
So wait, you have like a new Twitter bio? How come I've not been able to find any of this? I guess maybe you didn't.
No, I just, well, at least maybe I thought it was out there. Like, my Facebook page, for example, is public. Everything I post on Facebook is public. So if you just find me on Facebook, Kevin Cooney on Facebook, and it's the picture of the dork that looks like me on there. I put up pictures of my whole life on there, so you could pretty much track everything I've done since I got back here.
Okay, so basically, if you want to know what you're up to, you have to follow you on Facebook, not on Twitter or any of those other social media.
Actually, Twitter I've been a little lazy about lately, but Instagram, like, that's the thing. It's like, it's just a little, like, I just always find it funny when people say like, "Oh yeah, where have you been?" I'm like, I still am posting to like my TokyoCooney Instagram and Twitter feed. And
wait, what? Like, you post on your Tokyo Instagram? I mean,
okay. TokyoCooney on Instagram, yeah. Actually, that one, again, like Instagram and Twitter, I'm less, active on, but at least every couple of months.
I see.
Or something interesting happens,
So you've moved to New York.
I think it might be an age thing, but I just never really got that into Instagram. I think I was just a bit older when that kind of hit, and became the tool it is.
Right. I mean, it's only really become a thing recently.
It really has. But I think it's sort of like, I don't know, I think it's bigger with people younger than me.
Well, more people seem to be moving away from Facebook and more towards that sort of thing.
You know, everyone says that in the posts they put on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's a little bit too ingrained in bed. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Facebook's over. In my post I just put on Facebook. You know, like I don't see that. And the clever thing they did was like getting you to like use Facebook to sign into other apps. Like, man, I don't even want to have to redo all the passwords and crap on all the different other services I'm logged into. So I used Facebook to sign up for them. So I was too lazy to come up with like a username and password. You know,
Right,
so
right.
that was evilly clever of them.
So okay, so we'll backtrack a little bit. So
All right.
you've been living in the you're from originally upstate New York, right?
No, I'm from Long Island.
You're from where? Say that again.
Long Island,
Long Island. Okay. Got
beautiful Long Island, New York. The pus on the armpit of America.
okay. Sounds like you have a positive image of Long Island there.
Honestly, I haven't been back in like 20 years. So, after college, I went to college in Central New York, Syracuse University. Then after that, I moved out to LA. Then after that, I moved out to Tokyo. So I haven't been back or had a reason to go back since I was like 20.
Actually, this is an interesting question. I've never asked you this because I mean, this is like the question that everybody asks every freaking foreigner. I mean, plus the show's called "Why Come Japan?" Like,
Let me guess. There's a question: why come Japan?
yeah, I don't know. I just
Um,
never felt like asking you. It's like that was just a question you get tired of hearing.
Yeah, I think like amongst like foreigners, once you've been there a while, you kind of stop asking that question, unless it's just such a dull conversation that you're like, oh shit, I guess I might as well default to like stupid foreigner question. Context, it's a good question, but like yeah, no, it is like one of those questions that like if you've been in Japan a long time, you don't burden other foreigners with that question, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I went to college for television and film writing and production. Moved out to LA to work in that career field. I couldn't find a job at Starbucks or Old Navy, so I got a job teaching high school English instead. Um, and I was out there for like a
Going
year.
places.
At the end of that year, I was like, oh my god, like I have done almost nothing to sort of advance my career in like doing stand up and writing because I was just so involved with like teaching and coaching and you know just the life I had built at the high school I was teaching at that I was like, well, why the hell did I even move out here then? You know? So I thought, like, you know what, maybe I'm just gonna take a break. Because honestly, like, what do I have to even write about as a 22-year-old that's interesting enough that anyone should make a TV show or movie about it? Like, I'm the same as every other, you know, East Coast nerd who moves out to LA and says, like, I got a screenplay. So I said, like, oh, I'll go and I'll have some adventures. So I took a year sabbatical from uh, my the high school I was working at, and I said, I'm going to go travel, live in Japan for a year, do the Eikaiwa, teach English thing. And then when I got out there, I found a stand-up comedy group that was performing on the regs in Tokyo. And like from the first show I went to there, I immediately got sucked into that group. And then from there, I started finding little work here and there, working for NHK. And so like after the end of like a year or two, I was like, wait a minute, I'm actually doing in Tokyo the thing I had moved out to LA to do. I was performing like at least once a
Oh,
week.
right.
You know, I was performing at least once a week, paid for stand up. I was getting like jobs in TV and like increasingly better ones. And so I was like, well, why the hell would I end my sabbatical to go back to LA to teach English and maybe not keep progressing in the career I always wanted? So it was more like I always answer the question is why I stayed rather than why I went there. Because I went there in just a lark. Like it'll be an experience that I can maybe draw from in my future. But I stayed because I actually started finding work that was the actual work I wanted to do. You know,
That's interesting.
if that answers your
Yeah, I
question.
guess. Yeah, I mean, well, it's probably
But for
changing
me,
now.
for me, it was why I stayed for 13 years. It was always the real answer to that question, not so much why I went. Because like, why go to Japan? Like, well, why not? You know, like a friend of mine just posted on Facebook the other day. Uh, is there anything to do in Maine except look out at the ocean? Thinking about taking a vacation there. And I was like, you know what? Maine isn't here, so go. You know, like it's like you could be in Plattsburgh tomorrow but you could also be in Maine, and it's different. And you'll find a restaurant that you've never been to, and you'll see a vista and meet some people, whatever the place is. Like I had also looked into China, Argentina, Saudi Arabia. I looked at a bunch of different places, and I just kind of randomly chose Japan. Although I had some, like, I like Kurosawa films. I loved,
Okay.
like, I like Japanese culture in general, but I didn't have like any kind of genuine interest in Japan before I went.
You weren't
Just
into
like,
anime.
yeah. And I had lived and worked in London for about a year. And like, I had gone to like, France and Scotland, all that. I was like, you know what? Europe is kind of pretty much America with harder to read bathroom signs. But you still get it. It's not that different. So I knew I wanted to go somewhere that was actually foreign, not, kind of like, because going to Europe it's different. But I mean, I'm an hour from Montreal. It's equally different to, almost the same as like going to Paris. So, so for me, I just wanted to go to a place that was actually different, like, capital D different. And Tokyo seemed like the most logical place to do that.
Yeah, no, it's a good vocab word for it there. Different is definitely
Although
it.
I will say this, in the interview for the ACOW, I remember the guy saying, on your form here, you put that you wanted to live in Nagoya. And I was like, yeah, I want to live in Nagoya. And he's like, why? Well, because, I figure it's like, it's halfway between Osaka and Tokyo. I could kind of like go to either if I wanted to. And he was like, yeah, no, you don't want to go to Nagoya. Go to Tokyo. But that was knowing absolutely nothing, not speaking a word of Japanese. I knew nothing about Japan before I went there other than what I'd seen in Kurosawa films. So like, so that was very good advice. I'm glad that he crossed that out on my application and changed it to Tokyo.
Yeah, wow, that probably would have changed your life.
Oh, but every decision does,
Yeah, that's true. So I guess that leads me to the next question. I mean, so then you started YouTube. I mean, what made you want to start YouTube? I mean, this is before like YouTube was before it was the beast that it is now.
Yeah, I found out about YouTube, I think about 5 or 6 months into its existence, when it was really just starting to get known. A friend of mine, Dax Oliver, was a comedian friend, and I've got a lot of interesting stories about that guy. But he was over my apartment, and he's like, "Oh, have you ever seen that bit by whatever comedian?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I haven't, but I'm sure it's funny." He's like, "Oh, let's look it up." And I'm like, "How?" He's like, "Pull up this thing, YouTube." And then, we spent the rest of the evening, hanging out, drinking, and watching random comedy bits like you do now. Like,
Right.
Logan Paul. Then after he left, I was sort of poking around the site, and I was like, wait, so I could just upload video to this? And then I started thinking like, oh, wow, this would be really neat. I was going to like a amateur film night at this bar in Tokyo called the Pink Cow. Well,
Yeah. Cow. I don't know if that's still around.
But they had a thing called Film Marmalade, and people would shoot their own little films and bring them in, and then screen them there on like a random, Wednesday night or whatever. And so I had made a video for that, and I was like, hey, maybe I should just upload that to YouTube. And it was just basically just like my comedy bits interspliced with real footage. And there's a few of those like in like my old early videos. And then after doing that, could this be when my friends and family back home say like, hey, what's going on in Tokyo? I can just send them the link. It'd be an easy way for my parents to see my life here, my friends and family to like see my life here. And I think a lot of people started like J-blogging, basically just trying to send videos home to their friends and family to show them what their life is like here. Right. It didn't become a thing where you thought about it as like having an audience, like that you were trying to reach people you didn't know personally till at least like a year or two into after I had started it. And then people were explicitly going on there to make videos for the general public. But mine were really more geared to, I mean, if anyone happened to watch, fine, because it was a public source, a publicly viewable thing. But I meant it to be more for like people I knew to see,
Well, so you said like, your first video, was it just, well, if you're like your comedy performance, or?
It was my comedy performance intermixed with footage, like acted out performances of the thing in real life.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is like before Life in Tokyo when you started doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And I'd originally made the videos for screening at Film Marmalade at the Pink Cow, but I saw like, well, I might as well upload them. And I was like, oh, that was fun. So then I started making content specifically for YouTube. That was the Life in Tokyo series.
That's
That
wait,
was the first.
the Pink Cow thing. You mostly made Life in Tokyo for the Pink Cow at first.
No, okay, the opposite. I made the comedy videos for the Film Marmalade thing at the Pink Cow. And I
Okay.
uploaded to YouTube. Those are my first uploads to YouTube. They're still there. And I was like, oh, wow, this is fun. And then I thought, like, well, maybe I should make content specifically for YouTube. But I only ever thought that, like, friends and family would see it.
Mhm.
I didn't think it would really turn into, you know,
Like the
what
thing
it
it
is,
is today.
what
Yeah.
it is now. Yeah. Like, YouTube is a beast now.
Right. But the Life in Tokyo series, what influenced you or what inspired you to make that?
But like I said, I just wanted to make little travel logs to
Oh, just
share
little
with friends
travel
and family.
vlogs. Okay.
Yeah,
And it
to
just
share with friends and family. But at that point, like the idea of thinking, like I'm gonna do this for an audience, hadn't occurred to me in even the faintest way. Like it became that, you know, where I had people saying, like, you know, commenting and shit, like, oh God, like there's a lot of people watching this now.
yeah,
like
right?
like I started doing it, I was just literally making videos to show friends and family.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so it's not like it's just
And,
something.
and honestly, I think I'd say is my one little nugget of advice to any YouTuber who's making videos out there. That's how you should make any video you make. You know, would my friends and family enjoy watching this? You know, like if the people you know in your life would get a kick out of this, then you're probably playing to your strengths on camera and making content that's good. Or another way to put it is like, would you watch this yourself? You know, like and like also like just recording it, like you look back later on life and it's like, oh hey, that was me. You know, it was like a journal for myself as well in that way. So I always tried to make stuff that like I found enjoyable to watch, or that my friends and family would. You know.
Okay, so it was just mostly just something you happened to stumble across. It wasn't like something where you saw other people making videos that were like Life in Tokyo or
No,
whatever. Okay.
no, not in the least. But I don't think there was, like, not even only in Tokyo. That wasn't even a thing
Yeah, it
anywhere.
really wasn't.
Like the whole format of like, you know, I mean, I should get a penny from every time someone holds their camera out like this and walks along the street. To talk. Just one, like, I know I didn't invent that, or someone else invented it before, simultaneously, or after. But you know, it's been invented thousands of times. But no, that wasn't a thing anyone was doing then. You know, and certainly not editing their videos like in a way that made them watchable.
Yeah,
Like there
I
were
mean,
a lot of people walking around just taking raw footage and posting it. Like there's been tons of that, you know. But actually edited coherent videos with a theme and a title, and like, you know, no one was doing that shit.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's a real thing nowadays. That's like what,
Oh, it is a real thing, yeah.
like
It's
that's
yeah.
like you go to any like advice column on YouTube, and that's what everybody says you have to do now.
Hmm.
All right, I guess I had a question from the chat, and it's asking, um, so then that kind of led you to like the YouTube Hanami, right?
Yeah.
How did that all get started? John, oh, this is a question from John Meja. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that name right. What
Um,
started the whole YouTube Hanami thingy?
I liked drinking a lot. Um, and at that point, there was
It's
a
always the
limited
simple
number of
stuff, huh?
people. Like there was a limited number of people in the. It wasn't even a community really then. It was like Sammy, uh, me, Audrey. Audrey, I forget her username was like something so like dog farts or I can't remember her name.
Great
Apple
name.
Milk, Give Me a Break, Man. I think there was a few other people around at the time. And I just like, well, you know, there's these other foreigners here doing the same thing. And it was starting to grow a little, and there was a little bit of a sense of community, although we didn't really have sort of, there was never any of the later bullshit that came along. So they're like, hey, why don't I just try and get everyone together? And so I held the first YouTube Hanami, just sans anything connected to YouTube. And then I think it was the second year they actually opened a YouTube Japan office, and they had contacted me and said like, hey, you're really active, and we just want to know, do you want any like swag or stuff like that for the Hanami party?
Right.
And like, all right. And so Tai Hasagawa, who I think maybe might still, he does something at YouTube Japan still, I'm
I
sure.
know that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So he showed up with like a big box full of like T-shirts and random swag. And then I think by like the third or maybe the fourth year, then YouTube Japan was like, okay, we're going to like this away. And I think they started to do then their own Hanami party, and then I had a sort of separate like rival party. I believe is how that worked out, but it's hard for me to recall any exact memories from Cherry Blossom season. Any time in there, the memories are all a bit hazy.
Wait a minute. YouTube wanted to have their own YouTube Hanami thing for Japan?
I'm pretty sure I'm remembering correctly. I think they then sort of started doing their own thing, if I recall. Don't they do it? Don't they have their own Hanami party? Because like they started stripping away from having foreign, because the J-vlogger community was really the foreign J-vlogger community.
Yeah.
They were trying to shift it more towards like
Japanese
people involved. So I think they started doing their own events that kind of sort of bypassed us to a certain extent.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen anything on it. No, I have no problem with it either. I've never heard of it. I've never seen anything that says
they had their own like Japanese Hanami party. I think they did. I could be totally wrong about that.
Okay. So this is kind of a two-part question from John Misha. He's asking that, so what do you think of the quote-unquote, I guess, J-vlogger YouTube Hanami? What do you think of it now? Have you been following it at all?
I've watched like some videos. Like occasionally I'll come across like the promo videos, but I'm not going to go. So, I could watch videos of adorable cats in boxes. So why would I spend my viewing time watching promos for events I'm not going to go to? So I don't really know what the state of them is now.
You handed it off to Sam, and then Sam stopped doing it, and then he handed it off to a guy named Zach, and I guess it's still going on. I don't know.
I think the thing with any like sort of questions or discussion around this for me is like, who gives a shit? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like it was just like my organization of the Hanami party was I put up a video and said like, hey, let's meet by this tree in the park and drink on Saturday, and brought a tarp. Like,
yeah, you just did it for shits and giggles, right?
It was for shits and giggles. Like my whole YouTube channel was for shits and giggles. Like, I mean, I think I've made like enough to buy, I don't know, maybe not more than a pack of Post-it notes, but I've probably made a total about $200 off of my entire YouTube career. Right. So the only reason to have ever done it was for shits and giggles.
Right.
And Hanami Party too. Like, in fact, I spent way more than that making the videos. Like, paying for bus fare and, all the different things that costed to going out to the world and shooting a video for something, or like equipment. And so, but it was always for, shits and giggles. But the Hanami Party was too. And then like anytime that started to get like, oh, well, like, cause people would be like months in advance being like, when's the Hanami Party going to be this year? And I'm just like, when the flowers blossom, dude. Because like people wanted it to be more organized than I ever wanted it to be, because that you can't do that. I know like this last year, at least, they did the Hanami Party, but it ended up being like no buds on the trees. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what happens when you announce the Hanami Party 4 months before, spring. Like, I understand that makes it easier for people to schedule their, itineraries, but then have a different kind of party at a different time of year that's not dependent upon, the foliage. Like, you can have a YouTube get together at any time during the year. Trying to schedule your Hanami Party like 4 months ahead is insane to me. It defeats the point of doing it. It should be a little bit spur of the moment and a little bit disorganized.
True. That's very true. Okay, well, I guess we're kind of going in a chronological order here with your timeline. So then then after a certain point, I mean, I guess if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. But then after this, you left Japan for
Wow, you
reasons.
jumped ahead like 5-6 years, dude.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, what happened in between then? You consider key moments of your life. I don't know.
That's right. It was very simple, basically. I was going year to year on visas with basically freelance work. I was working for NHK, but I was never a full-time employee. I was teaching a little bit here and there to supplement income, and basically I couldn't get a visa, and so I had to.
So that's the short and
wasn't my choice.
that's the short end of it.
I couldn't get the visa, so and I
Okay.
tried like a job that I could get, and just the paperwork didn't work out, so like literally had to leave.
Right, because like I was like on Google, right, and I was like typing your name in, like watch old videos of yours, and like one of like the key words here. I mean, I don't mind. I hope you don't mind me telling you this. Like one of them is TokyoCooney deported. Like what?
Well,
Like
I wasn't deported. I bought a plane ticket and left the country. But I mean, I
yeah,
couldn't stay there anymore because I didn't have a visa anymore.
yeah. I mean that's usually how it works.
Yeah, like I didn't, I didn't like punch the prime minister and have to go on the run.
That would have been a better story. But
Well, I think also, and maybe part of that's my fault because I mean I wasn't really posting at all at that point, and so when you leave a lack of information, then stories grow in its place. And
true.
I think you jumped over actually a number of big steps if we're going
Okay.
chronologically. And I'd say I'd go back to like the earthquake.
Right.
Because kind of
2011.
when I stopped YouTubing, to be honest. A combination of that and Roger Swan passing, um, I was a little bit kind of, I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't thought too deeply, but Roger's passing really did affect me a lot. And then
Really?
not long after that, the uh, the earthquake stuff happened, and I started getting lots of really negative comments from these insane anti-nuclear power people who were like trolling my
Really?
channel. And I had never had like, I basically had gone unmolested by trolls like for my entire YouTube career because I didn't ever do shit that would upset people for the most part. I was never that guy, Gene, where I posted controversial or upsetting things. It was a fairly family rated channel.
Yeah.
But then around that, I got really kind of bitter, and I found it distracting to my life. That I was like combing through the comments at 2 a.m. I should be out, like living my life, and I wasn't like even
Yeah.
posting, fun stuff anymore. So like, and also it was like a lot of work, and I was working like really hard at that time. It was a
Like
very very busy
NHK and
couple of
everything.
years. Yeah, it was a very busy couple of years for me. Like I had fun stuff was actually in my life, and so it got a little like, should I be investing this much emotional time and energy into what essentially is a hobby? When my job is the same thing as my hobby.
I see. So you just kind of grew away from the platform
Yeah,
in a way.
and I did it for years,
Yeah.
like
True.
years. So, and also like, and I appreciate like I generally appreciate all the people who watch, but like I would get comments like like you owe it to us to make a video. I was like, owe it to you for what? Like what? Like what payment have I gotten? What I was doing this for me, and like there's almost this wrangling away from me of the ownership of my own like identity, that like I am supposed to be doing this as a responsibility to the fans for the work they put in, liking and subscribe, hitting the subscribe button. It's like I have never, you can watch any video I've ever made, I have never said or put on the screen the words please subscribe
It's
or
true.
please like this video. I have never said that. So if you wanted to go ahead and subscribe or you wanted to like the video, hey, that's up to you. But like, I wasn't out there begging from subscribers saying like, "Oh, you gotta like my channel, or I won't have any self worth." Like,
I gotta
and like,
say that at the end of every video now.
no, like, people do, and it's good because it gets people like, "Oh shit, yeah, I did like that. I will subscribe." It's a great tactic to use. But I very
Yeah.
intentionally didn't, because I was doing this for me, you know, not
Right.
like to run up the numbers or anything like that. Came across in a good way that was very genuine, you know, that people didn't feel like I was being a subscriber whore, you know. And hey, if you want to be, I'm not judging it. Like, it is an actual career path for some people now. But
True.
I never viewed it as that. I just said, like, I'm just going to make stuff I want to make. And, you know, but so, like, when it started getting, like, to that, where, like, I felt like, oh, I have to make a video, you know, because if I don't, all these people out there in internet land are going to be like, why haven't you made a video? Oh, you owe it to us. Oh, you got to make a video. I'm like, no, I don't have to make a video. You know, I don't. I really, there's no, like, they didn't take my passport. They didn't take my visa away because I stopped making videos. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
oh, I should probably mention to the audience. I mean, I guess like those of you who don't know, for some context, Roger Swan was a YouTuber who made a lot of great videos here in Japan, and he passed away. Was it 2010? 2010? Was that when?
I don't remember exactly.
I remember, yeah,
Probably
he passed away like really like 26 or something, 22 or and
2012, 2011, I think.
Was it 2012?
No, it's about 4 years ago.
If it's 2012, we're gonna blame the apocalypse that never happened.
But yeah, no, like he was a wonderful guy.
Yeah, no, it was a real shame to see that was he really passed away. Because I mean, when I first heard the news, I'm like, what? Really? Like, is that true? I mean, this is even before like on the internet, because everybody spreads around rumors that so and so has passed away or something, and then you have to like look on Wikipedia, like, is that true? And then you find out that something's fake news or not. Okay, so you kind of grew away from the platform like a lot of people did. Like, I mean, I did that myself, but
Yeah.
I've kind of rekindled my interest in it as of late, particularly with the show and other things that I've been doing.
I should correct you there.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up from the platform. I grew away from the grind of making videos for that channel.
Oh, I see. For Tokyo.
You know, I made them for like, I guess, at least 7 years. 6, 7 years, 7, maybe, I don't know exactly, but around 7 years, I guess. I grew away from that. Like, I still post and use YouTube every day, and I have, you know, ever since it came out. So I have no problem with the platform. It's just the TokyoCooney thing started to become more of a burden. Like, I'd spend like an hour, 2 hours a day just answering comments and messages.
So it just
like,
became
after a video.
It just became.
So I'd spend like a day usually out filming something, then another day editing it, then release the video on like, you know, that night usually, because I was too impatient to wait. Like, the second I got it done, like, upload it. And then I'd spend like, you know, hours and hours in the aftermath answering questions and making comments and writing back to people's, you know, emails. And it's like, it became like a good, like, wow, a week I did a video, it could end up being like 2-3 days of my life from that week or around that video. And it's sort of like, well, what exactly am I doing this for? You know? And then especially when I started getting like stressful and there was more like YouTube drama and there was all this like this other stuff that I had no interest in, it started to feel like this is A, kind of toxic, and B, I'm not, you know, I should be spending my time working on like scripts and stand up and the stuff for my like career. Keep in mind at that point, the idea of having a YouTube career never occurred to me. Like, and yeah, that's a whole other thing. I mean, it's a great thing if someone wants to do it, but like, now people get onto YouTube with the implicit purpose of one day being able to have a career based off it, which I think is, I don't know, I have some qualms with that, but
really, what are your qualms with it?
Well,
I do kind of want to hear them. Sorry.
No, right, I should be clear. Like, I think it's great if that's something you want to work towards as like, you know, a career goal. But I think it won't help make your content necessarily good. Like, it's sort of like, saying like, I want to be a famous musician, but I don't really. I guess I'll just play whatever music I think will be popular. You know, it's sort of like, it's like a backwards thing. It's not something like, I really love playing music, and so if I become a popular musician, that's great. You know, like I made my videos with love. Like I literally poured a lot of my soul into making, and time and energy and money into making those videos. Very proud of them. But like it was because I wanted to make them and I was proud of them and proud to show my friends and family and whoever else wanted to watch those videos. But I think it's sort of like when you set out, it's sort of like when you hear young people say like, yeah, someday I'm gonna be a famous musician, instead of saying someday I'm gonna be really good at music, you know, because I love music.
Mm-hmm.
And often they can be the same thing. They can be the same thing. You can really love music and also want to be a famous musician. But you understand like the sort of cart before the horse thing? It's sort of like, I want to have the lifestyle where I can just make videos in my apartment and get paid for it. Is sometimes what I hear them, like what I hear them saying is like, I want a career where I can make videos in my free time and spend the rest of my day fucking around.
Right.
Is what I hear when people say, I want to be famous on YouTube. You know, like, rather than saying like, I really want to share this great piece of art I made.
Yeah.
I'd love more people to be able to see this thing I'm proud of. It's like a different approach, and I just think like if you approach it as, you know, I want to share this great thing with the world, it's more likely to be a thing people might actually want to watch.
True.
You know.
So you feel kind of like people are sort of just like grinding out videos just for the sake of grinding out videos, not really putting any love into it.
Or yeah, I mean, or just like.
Yeah, I could agree with that. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of little qualms I have. But again, it's like, hey, you know, you do you. But I just think like for me, it was always just like, hey, this is a fun thing to do. I met a lot of great people through doing it. Had a lot of, also like the great thing, like, which it's funny, like I've never heard another YouTuber say this, and I'm sure some would, but I've never heard them say it. The thing I got out of YouTube was it got me out of the house. There were some weekends where I would have just laid around the house, you know, watched some, you know, DVDs from Tsutaya, ordered Domino's, and drank. But I said, like, you know what? But there's this festival down in, you know, some random place.
Yeah.
I should film that. And it would get me to get out of the house, go down there, film this thing I had never been to. So it forced me to, like, be more active in my life in Tokyo. I went to a lot of events and festivals and things because I thought it would make a good video, you know. But if I hadn't been making the videos, I just would have. I'd been like, you know what, I'm kind of tired. You know, I'll skip it, and maybe next year. So it was actually a great way to sort of keep me honest about being like a tourist, still and at heart. You know, even after living there for so long, it got me to be like, you know, I should go out and, you know, I should go out and do something today. Bring camera along. If it's good, I'll film it. You know, so that was like a great thing, which I didn't expect it to do.
Mm-hmm.
But YouTube actually kind of forced me to be, you know, more proactive about my life there.
That's interesting. I guess I never really thought of it that way, but that is true.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've never heard anyone say it, but I think being in YouTube and saying, like, oh man, I have to come up with something interesting for a video, so I'm going to go scour the listing of events coming up and then go to one of them. You know, like, whereas if you're not doing that, then there's less sort of impetus to not be lazy. You know.
True. Okay, so I want to cut back in time to after you've left Japan and you've moved to upstate New York.
Yeah.
Where I'm guessing you've moved there because you had a lot of friends there, because that's where you went to college.
No, I went to college about 5-6 hours south of here. My folks moved up to the Adirondacks, which is the area I'm in now. The Adirondacks are the largest park in America. It's, I forget, something like 6 million hectares of land. It's enormous, forever wild, beautiful, beautiful country. And I just like, well, I got to go somewhere. So I just came back and stayed with my folks. And my parents, my brother had just been deployed like the 10th time to the Middle East. And so my parents had gone down to North Carolina to help out his wife and their kids. So I basically sort of house sat my parents' place. I got a job at a small forestry college doing their websites for the first few months. Actually, I traveled a bit for the first like 6 months. And then I said, like, all right, I should get a job. And then I started working at this small college as their webmaster. And then a job came up for PBS about 2 hours away here in Plattsburgh. And I was like, it's perfect, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but to be honest, like I mean, it was time to leave. It was like at that point, I either had to decide I'm going to live in Japan the rest of my life, or I need to move back because I was around like 36 then,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sort of like you can still do a second act in life at 36. It's a bit harder at 54, you know.
A little
Like
bit.
yeah, so it's good that I came back when I did because now I'm like actually I have roots and a career here in TV that you know I want to continue.
Doing
So
what you
it's
want to do.
exactly yeah.
So yeah, now
So
you said you're at PBS now?
PBS, yeah.
Okay. And what is it you do there?
We're a very small station, so I do a lot of things. But the big three are anything we do online, I do. So our Facebook page, our all our social media, our website. I also write, produce, edit, star in a travel series called Northbound and Around, where basically I do interesting things to do in the area. So like so far I've been scuba diving Lake Champlain, a ropes course with like zip lines, rock climbing, fly fishing, which it's not that exciting, but it was something I'd never done. Snowshoeing, fat tire snow biking. So it's all like kind of interesting things to do in the area. And so I'm kind of that's my like series. And then also I organize events. So I'm organizing the third annual Comic Con here in Plattsburgh.
Nice.
Called Platts Nerd, but it's a Comic Con. We got like about 1,000 people in the last 2 years, so it's
Not
good, but
bad.
it's a chunk of time to organize. So
Interesting. So
yeah,
wait,
we're organizing events, shooting, editing, filming, travel pieces for the station, and anything we do online, basically.
so where can we find all that information for like this? Is this all on YouTube or is it only on the PBS channel?
Well, okay, so PBS, like NHK,
Mm-hmm.
is not a single station. National. It's a national organization, but each area has its own affiliate. Um, Vermont, for example, has only Vermont PBS. It's just one station for the whole state. But New York, I think we have probably like 8 or 9 different affiliates in New York. So we cover all of like super northern New York, and also, even though they technically aren't members, like they can't because they're Canadians, like all of Quebec as well. So Montreal, Quebec City. So we broadcast to all those areas. But then there's also like one in Albany, Rochester, Buffalo, Long Island, New York City. So each affiliate has their own like studio station, and so like we have like a weekly show which covers like local news, but we cover only things that are important to this region, you know. So we air the national stuff like Downton Abbey and stuff like that, but then we also have our own local programming for the local area,
Okay. So it's all based upon.
which is NHK is the same. NHK has a national broadcast, but each local affiliate has their own content that they create for their local area.
So none of this is on YouTube. We can't watch any of this.
Oh, all it's on YouTube.
All of it's on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do I find it? I guess
Mountain Lake PBS.
Mountain Lake PBS. And you're on the show every now and then?
On the Mountain Lake PBS website, if you go to the Watch tab on the top left, you'll find Northbound and Around, or just search Northbound and Around.
Northbound
But like
and
I said,
Around.
all those videos are on my TokyoCooney channel under my playlist, things I've been shooting since I left Japan.
Oh. Why don't I know any of this? All right. You think that I would?
Maybe because people always like to say like, "Oh man, I miss you so much. Where you been?" But then like, yeah, but did you bother to try and find out where I've been?
I guess it's an
I'm not
easy
bitching
thing
about
to
it,
do.
but it's funny that people are always like, "Oh man, I don't know, I couldn't find like where you been." Like, yeah, it's Google. It's right there. It just means like people like to say that they really looked for something, but they don't actually.
Well, I mean,
It's
yeah,
just
nobody really does reading anyway. I mean, I don't read. So I mean, I read every now and then, but not like I don't read like internet time. Like I don't have time for that. Like unless I'm really interested or something.
No, I get that.
You get another beer? Or no?
What? Yeah, no, I'm drinking off-brand cola.
Oh, off-brand cola.
Choice Champion. Sorry, I want to do this outside because it's a beautiful evening. I actually should have been a little brighter out later.
A lot of mosquitoes out there. So you hit
Yeah.
yourself.
I got sweet blood.
Yeah? Are you A type blood? Oh.
You're gonna ask a person who is in Japan. You know what the answer to that question is? I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
I
I know I'm A type blood because I had the, I don't know. I took a
used
science.
to get so many Japanese people asking me that I just say I don't know. And I think I've asked my mom like 5 or 6 times at this point, but I think I'm purposely forgetting it so that I could tell people, like Japanese people, I didn't know because it would piss them off.
Yeah, I guess that would do that. Well, I don't think anybody cares about that anymore. I think that was more of a just bad.
But they always used to say, like, well, what if you get in an accident? Like, do you think when you go to the hospital, they ask you what your blood type is and just take your word on it? Like when they give you the transfusion, they're just like, well, he says it's O. So
Yeah.
let's just start pumping.
No, it's RH negative. I lied. It was a joke.
No, it's like they test for that shit before they start pumping you full of blood because if
Yeah.
you're wrong, that could go very bad.
This is true. This is very true.
But
all right. Well, I guess yeah. This like about maybe 5 minutes of research. You probably find everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Just through your YouTube page.
And like and on Twitter too. Like every time I put pretty much every time sometimes I post like, hey, this is the new video I put out for Northbound and Around on my Facebook page. I put out like, hey, this is the new video I just did for Northbound and Around. So
interesting. So we had one question from John Misha in the last stream.
This guy's got a lot of questions.
Yeah, he has good questions. I mean, like I only pick and choose.
You got to be an inquisitive mind in this world.
Why do you say that?
Hey, it's good to ask questions.
Yeah, right. Well, it's always good to ask lots of questions, especially if like you're writing something or you have an idea about something. I mean, that way the more you know, right?
Exactly.
John Misha asks, what shows are you producing? Well, we already talked about that. And have you incorporated any Japanese style in your current videos?
Not my Japanese style, but my YouTube style, like from my TokyoCooney
From Japan.
days. Yeah. Like because the other producers at the station, they produce things for on air first in their mind. Whereas I know people will watch it like on our on air broadcast or over cable or satellite or something like that. But I kind of always frame things still. So like I always start my videos with like 5 or 10 seconds of something that's, attention grabbing. And then I'll go into the credit sequence for it, rather than like starting, like they'll start with like a stand-up piece of like someone like earlier this week in front of, like it's like a dude talking into the camera. I'm like, it's just deaf to viewership, to just have a single person talking to the camera unless they're saying something funny or they're naked. But like, so I try and, I still use that. It was very interesting. I went to a sort of PBS conference. It was a New York statewide conference down in Albany a couple months ago with one of the guys who does our editing and camera work. And they had a bunch of people from YouTube there to talk to us because it was for like how to better use social media was the idea of the conference. And it was hilarious because like the YouTube like marketing person had like all these tips on like how you should do your original like series.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, I was doing that 10 years ago. Like it was all the things I had already been doing, but it was gratifying because it was like
you led by example.
No, well, I'm not saying that a lot of people figured it out. It wasn't hard, but it was just interesting that it was like they've codified into like rules and ideas on how to do your show. Like exactly the things that, me and a lot of other people like me kind of just figured out doing it. That like, oh yeah, I should have like once every other week a just answering questions video, like I should every now and then I should do a, but it's interesting how it's like codified into like, and also like the idea that like it's a thing, like this like PBS is having a station like a statewide conference where we're all there with like notebooks and like a table full of pastries and coffee, and like, you know, a microphone and speakers are coming in, and they're like talking about it. It's like, well, on YouTube, the thing you want to do is, I'm like, it's interesting because like it's become such like a real thing. Whereas I remember back in the early days going to like meetings at NHK and be like, hey, you know, guys, we should really start, you know, putting videos on YouTube. And they're like, oh, that's kind of not our thing. I mean, we're a broadcaster, not, you know, like some fly by night internet thing. I'm like, well, okay, but in 10 years, check back with me. But I so many people used to laugh when someone would say, oh yeah, no, he's got a really popular YouTube channel. And people in the TV world would laugh about it. We were like, yeah, okay, whatever. All right, dude, sure. Yeah.
Yet nowadays,
people are like trying to organize strategies on how to best, you know, engage with the online video market. It's like, well, all right.
Yeah, it's become more of a thing. That's for sure.
It is.
Okay, so I guess like this is pretty much the last question I got. The last one is, do you think you'll ever make it back to the TokyoCooney brand? You think you got any more left in you, or no?
Well, not
or is it dead?
No. The thing I have been, and I actually been working on it, but I have to do 4 more Northbound and Around, like by beginning of September, plus like my normal day job, plus like organizing this Comic-Con in October. So it's like, God, where am I going to find the time? But I'm trying to get back to doing videos again, but it will be in the Adirondacks. It reserved a YouTube channel, a tourist at home, was what I was going to call it, and the idea that taking like sort of what I learned on how to live in Tokyo and applying that as a rule to how you should be in your hometown. Because I used to always hate when I get messages from people from like, you know, Broke Dick, Mississippi, and they'd be like, oh, I mean, I'd love to do YouTube videos, but I don't live somewhere where there's anything interesting to make videos about. And I'm like, you know what? That's probably not true. It's almost definitely not true. There's something interesting in where you are. And so I want to try and do that with, you know, TokyoCooney. But, you know, I don't expect any of the people who watch TokyoCooney would necessarily enjoy those videos unless they just, you know, have a boner for me. In which case, then they might.
I think it's definitely the latter.
Because like it's going to be about, you know, stuff to do in the Adirondacks, which are an amazing area. But every place is amazing, you know. I had a friend tell me the other day that was like, oh my God, you do so much. Like you get out and do so many things. I'm like, yeah, you know, like, but that should be just how it is, you know. There's so many things to do, you know.
So many things to do in the world, you mean? Yeah. Okay.
It's like the story telling about like the girl asking about Maine. Just go. Just go. Like find out when you get there, you know? Like you'll find a cool little diner you never knew existed. You'll find like some random state park. You'll find, you know, there'll be some crazy weird people you'll talk to at the state park, and it'll make a great story, you know? Like so hopefully I'll take that aspect of the TokyoCooney thing, which I'm already kind of doing with the Northbound and Around videos, but they're not maybe I have to keep them a little bit more broadcast quality than some of my TokyoCooney stuff was. Although honestly, like most of my TokyoCooney stuff, there was rarely cursing, rarely anything, you know, non-family oriented.
Right. No, I got you. One of the questions from the chat, they've been wanting me to ask this out. BLKUNK asks.
I remember him.
Yeah, he's in the chat right now. Let's see. What is he asking me?
A bit of a madman, but very cool guy.
Bit of a madman, but very cool guy. It's a good tagline.
I think I met him at somewhere on the Chuo line at a park, maybe Koenji. I think I met him at Koenji once upon a time.
What it says, can you talk about how TokyoCooney invented the self-vlogging cam in Japan? I think we kind of talked about that already.
I didn't invent it, first of all. Anything I did on YouTube.
Well, you were saying like earlier, you're like, I remember in our interview back in like 2010, like the YouTube Hanami thing. You're like, I wish I could like copyright that, backwards handheld while walking, call it the Cooney.
Well,
I remember this.
My favorite thing was people always be like, "Who's filming for you?" I'm like, no one's filming for me. I just have lanky ass arms. I just have long monkey arms that So it just I had no other option, and it worked really well. I had a
remember
that had like a turnaround screen.
Mm-hmm.
It was really easy to hold. So it was actually a good camera for that style. Which actually I won at a raffle at the Pink Cow.
Nice.
There is actually only one video that I'm aware of that I can remember anyway, where actually any other human being held the camera in all of my videos, and it's the one where I went to Enoshima. It's early. It's like episode 6 or 7, and it was actually it was a weekend getaway with a girlfriend, and but that was the only time where it's like if you really paid attention, you could oh yeah, no, someone was holding the camera in that shot. But that's the only one I think. I just didn't like having other people I knew around because I get self-conscious being TokyoCooney in front of friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not a normal way to act. So, but in the mass anonymity of Tokyo, I had no problem, doing it. But
true.
I never pull the camera out around friends or
It would be a little awkward.
Don't now. I have a camera person for when I do the northbound and around shoots, and it's a little awkward.
Okay. So one more question here. It's John Misha. He's back in the chat. Thanks for all these great questions, John. It says, do you still watch Tokyo Sam? I guess Tikyo Sam, I guess, is the handle he goes by.
To be honest, I don't really watch anyone's videos.
You don't watch anybody's videos anymore? You got too busy with your job or something?
No, I just have a lot of stuff to do, and I just don't. And also, I think it makes me a little bit when I moved back, and I debated for the first 6 months or so whether I was going to try and apply for a job in Japan and move back. I was going back, and I was like, you know what, I'm here, and I think if I tried to keep, I saw some people do that, like my Argonauts, and it's sort of like, you know what, dude, you went back, be back, I think keeping abreast of all those things would just make me miss Japan and also distract me from having a life here. So somewhat intentional. But I do occasionally watch videos, but not I don't keep up on them. I'll check in and be like, oh, I wonder what that person's up to, and watch a video or two. And Sam's videos occasionally. I mean, I've said this to Sam. I've never liked Sam's videos. I don't like it. I don't like the character he does. I find it, and I counseled him on that many, many times. It's like, dude, you just need to tone down the language. I mean, the things he say, I just found appalling. I love Sam. I love Sam. He's a wonderful guy. I love him. But he's I could be out and he'd be and I can't even say them now because I can't say those things that roll off his tongue so easily. I just oh God, Sam, just bring it down 600%, But that was always the sort of, relationship we had, that I was more of a straight man.
Wavy man.
And this is the thing, I just mentioning his name, my brain is already going into what Sam would say now, because I said the straight man to his Jim Belushi. It's the Dan Aykroyd to his Jim Belushi. So I always felt I mean, his videos have gotten amazingly well produced though. He's done a great job making good looking, well edited. He works hard on those videos. He should be commended for that. But just in terms of they make me blush. But I mean, again, but that's his style, and it's perfectly fine for his videos to look like they came out of his syphilitic brain.
Syphilitic brain.
But that's the beauty of YouTube, and the beauty of having niche audiences, that you can find someone who speaks with a voice that you appreciate. That was never my style, and I always felt oh man, you could do better if you just toned it down. But then maybe not. Maybe it would just castrating him like that would make the videos less charming, because he does have a very specific kind of charm. Like he is, it's hard not to smile when he's around.
This is true. Yeah.
He's a very infectious personality and infectious penis. But
good to know. All right, that about wraps things up on my end. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, not really. Just hey, if you're out there, you're making videos, keep doing it. Keep having fun doing it. And if you're doing it because you want to get to your career, well, hey, God bless you. I hope you make it. But thanks to everyone who ever watched my videos. I'm still making them. And yeah, if you ever want to check out what I'm doing, just find me on Twitter or on Facebook, and do keep an eye out, because I am legitimately looking for to rebrand and restart my video series. Just because I want it for my own personal record. I'd like to have like the videos I have, because I feel bad there's sort of like a blank now, because I can go back and look at everything that happened in my life before, like when I stopped, and then there's like this gap where like, oh, I wish I had videos from that time period, so I'm gonna hopefully be doing that again. So yeah.
So what's the handle we could find you at? Just TokyoCooney, and then Kevin Cooney on
Twitter.
Facebook.
Yeah, or on Facebook, follow me on that. I'm trying not to friend people I haven't actually talked to on Facebook anymore.
Yeah, right.
So just because that was a thing for a while, because like when Facebook first came out, I think actually my Facebook username is TokyoCooney. It was because like I didn't know what I was going to use Facebook for. So like, I guess this will just be the channel where, I keep fans updated. So I let in a bunch of people who I never met. They're probably still in that mix somewhere. But now I kind of restricted to just people like I've met in real life.
I see.
But
so the best internet handle, let's say, if you don't want to be your friend.
But all my posts are public, so you can see. That's the thing I update with, like what I'm doing in life most often. But Instagram, TokyoCooney, Twitter, TokyoCooney.
So those are the best. It's like, let's say you want to cyber stalk you. The best place to do it is
Facebook.
Facebook. You don't want to. It's not even a like page, though, right?
No, it's just, well, a long time ago, someone set up like a TokyoCooney, like Facebook page. And I was like, all right, thanks, I guess. I think it's basically defunct now, as it should be. But
so one last comment or one last question here. JJJ1983 asks, "What do you miss most about Japan?" I like this question.
Food.
Just the food?
Food.
Anything in general?
Food is pretty in general. Like the food.
You mean like okonomiyaki, sushi, or just
all of it? Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean,
the way it's prepared, or
I can think of maybe 2 or 3 bad meals I had my entire time in Japan. Like I was truly like, wow, this is terrible. Not because it wasn't something to my taste. Like it was like, a food I just don't like or I was allergic to. But I mean, like the quality of everything, and even like roadside stops or, fast food places was always great. The food was always great. And I've had some really crappy meals here. I cannot say that I ever had more than a handful of meals that weren't good my entire time in Japan.
Interesting.
Well, it's an old adage too. They say the foreigners fall in love with the Japanese woman, but stay for her cooking.
Okay.
I think there's some truth to that. Like when you first get there and you're like 23 or 24 and you're young, dumb, and full of cum, you're like, oh my god, look at all these cute girls. But then when you get to like your mid 30s, you're like, oh man, this place has the best ramen. And that's like, it's like a shift in like life priorities, I think, for most people. But I think the food is definitely the thing I look back on the most. I'm like, oh, that. I mean, if I went back to Japan, it would basically just be me eating.
Interesting. You think you'll ever do that? Just go back to Japan just for the food? Maybe just for like a vacation or something?
The thing is, honestly, like, I mean, 13 years, I kind of did all the things I ever wanted to do in Japan. Like, there's not a lot on that bucket list.
So like, you're pretty much filed under done, huh?
If I was gonna fly to Asia, I'd rather go to like China or Korea or somewhere else than go do more of that. It's like, well, Japan was a wonderful place. I loved it. Still do. Right. Always will. But
You'd never speak ill of it.
Never. No, there was nothing. I really had very little negative experiences whatsoever. So, anyway.
Okay, well,
man, how are you doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I don't know. Have got my second wind here for YouTube. I mean, I kind of gave up for a while. Kind of under the same circumstances. I kind of just lost interest in the platform because it just seemed like everybody was copying other people. Kind of things that you mentioned prior in this interview that people seem to like. They follow like a trend, and that's the only way really you get discovered is because you do.
And also, I kind of checked out also when J-vlogging stopped being about Japan and started being about who else is J-vlogging. And it stopped being a community and started becoming like all catty bullshit. And it's just like, I never felt the need to talk about other YouTubers unless there was a very specific reason in any of my videos. And yet that stuff goes on. It's like, hey, live and let live. Other people want to do their videos, let them do their videos. Like that whole thing is just ridiculous to me.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally get that.
You know, like this Kanye and what's her name, the singer, like rivalry,
Kim Kardashian,
whatever. No, like the rivalry bullshit and things like that.
Oh, Taylor Swift or something.
Yeah, like the Kanye Taylor Swift type shit that goes on YouTube. It's like, seriously, it's a free streaming. It's a free like video streaming site. Like, yeah, this isn't the Oscars. Like, but so all that just got so silly. And so like, yeah, I felt like people weren't even making videos about Japan anymore. They were just talking about each other and, you know,
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Okay, well, I'll be sure to put all your information in the, what's that thing called? This description below if you want to follow what Kevin's doing now. This was a live recording on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on iTunes, be sure to, you know what to do. Push the buttons, do the thing, win a prize. I don't know what that is. I should offer some prizes. You push the buttons.
Good idea. Well, sayonara, dude.
Yeah, it was good talking to you. It's good to see that you're still up and running and everything's good to go. And thanks everybody who joined the chat. And we'll, of course, well, I guess I will see you next time.
Later.
Bye.